Okay. Hello. I always see pills at the gas station that say and claim to do incredible things. And while most of them are usually to enhance your performance and vitality and a lot of buzzwords like that, there's actually some that are like meant to boost your testosterone or your mental capacity. And these things are just not FDA approved because they just don't do anything. That being said, I want nothing more than to try these pills. So I stopped by my local Walgreens and I picked up two things. One is Focus Factor Nutrition for the Brain. Right here it is, close up. You'll see clinically shown to improve memory and concentration and focus. Plus, it's a complete multivitamin. There you go. Not FDA approved. Absolutely not. And then we have even cooler. We have Muscle Tech Alpha Test, which is supposed to. It's a maximum strength testosterone booster. And you know me. I mean, I'm a high testosterone man. Let's not get it twisted. So I thought I would do a little experiment. And you know me, I hate ethics. So I thought there's no ethical problem with experimenting on myself. So that's exactly what I plan on doing. So at the start of this experiment, I'm going to be weighing in at 240-ish. The video you're going to be seeing behind me is going to be, I think, 243, and that's going to be like with camera and clothes. And then I'm on a bit of a diet, so I'm give or take 240. We say 240 for this. You'll see a quick little snippet of the physique at 240. If you really pay attention, you'll see some of the welts left over from when I did the Minecraft video that I recorded like 2.5 months ago, if not like 3. We're also going to be measuring blood pressure here. There should be a clip of that playing behind me right now. The blood pressure is high. I know I'm pre-hypertensive. The line for my dick is pretty long, so I probably suggest you shouldn't get on and ride it if you want to beat afternoon traffic. We're also going to do a series of physical and mental challenges before and now. So I did a bunch of challenges. So I ran a mile. Ran it in about 9:40-ish, which you'll see behind me. The pacing of it was really, it was terrible. I think my first lap, I did like 140, my first lap. Second lap clocked in, I think it was 4 minutes that I clocked in, which means I ran like a 220. And then by the third lap, I was just so gassed because my pacing was terrible. I was like walking. I clocked in like a 6:37. It wasn't great. And then the final lap, I clocked the 9:40. So really bad pacing. We'll see how much I've improved. I guess I should mention I'm not going to be training at all in between or during the time that I'm taking this. It's literally I haven't been to the gym or I haven't ran in months, weeks. That was me just raw dogging it, and then I'm going to take these pills for 7 days a week. That's what the recommended. That's how long it says it's going to take for me to feel the effects. And then I'm going to do these all. I'm going to try to do it exactly the same as I did the first week. So the mile was the first one, 9:40-ish. Not bad. The second test would be the clean and jerk. For the clean and jerk, I didn't try to kill myself because weightlifting is fucking scary. I think I did 185 pretty clean, and then 205 was also very clean, and I think 225 was pretty solid. Generally for the clean, again, I haven't been to the gym in months, haven't taken it seriously in years. I ended up calling it at 265 because I think, or no, sorry, 255. I got 245. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to 255 because my goal for cleans is just to hit body weight. So I got 245. And then I hit the clean on 255, and then I missed the jerk on 255, and I missed the jerk, and I was like, I don't want it. You know what? That's call out. I need to do different exercises anyway. So then I went into squat, barely warmed up for just any of this stuff, right? It's going to sound like I'm flexing, but I do not follow in my footsteps. Like, it's just actually such a terrible idea. For squat, for some reason, I didn't record any of the warm-ups, but for whatever reason, I squatted, like my warm-up squat stuff, I was warming up high bar, and the second I hit 315, I like switched to low bar. It was very stupid, but I have video of me doing 315 at low bar. And then I jump to 365, low bar again, get it. And then I do 405, and then I fail 405. And to be honest with you, if I warmed up low bar, I feel like I would have gotten 405, but I'm going to do it again exactly the same next week, right? Haven't started taking the medication. And then naturally, bench is the next one I did. 185 was... like shockingly, did I even record? I don't know if I recorded 185 actually. I certainly recorded 205. 205 was pretty light. I was shocked how easy 225 was. I did 225 and it was actually so hilariously easy. I couldn't believe it, which is crazy because if you watch the footage, you actually see my wrists like buckle. And then I did 245. And I remember 245 feeling really, really heavy, and my wrists were like buckling before, during, and after the rep. But watching the footage back, it was very fast. I know it doesn't seem like, it seems like when I'm watching the footage back, I'm like, I kind of have that. Like if I like wanted that more, I would have got that. I promise it's very heavy. Like it's very heavy. I don't know. That's for the testosterone booster. And since I'm also taking like a brain booster stimulant thing, I also did some trials on this website called the Human Benchmark. And I basically did mostly memory tests. I did a reaction test. The very first one I did was a reaction test. And then after that, I did sequence memory, which is basically like, it's like Hey Simon, I think, right? Where basically it plays, there's a grid of 3x3, and then it plays a pattern, right? So it'll be like, all right, bottom left square, and then you click the bottom left square, and it'll be like, all right, bottom left square, center square, and then you click the bottom left, center square, and then it goes on and progressively gets longer and longer, and it tests to see how well you memorize the sequence. The third test I did was the chimp test, where basically it gives you a bunch of blocks, numbered blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, as it goes. And the second you hit one, the blocks white out, and you have to remember the order of blocks 1, 2, 3, 4, and the blocks are randomly placed. Of course, I'll put up the averages as I see them behind me, because I actually don't remember them as I'm recording this. And then I did a verbal memory test where basically it'll show a word, and then you need to say whether or not you've seen that word or it's a new word that's been shown to you. And so the first couple words are obviously all going to be new, and then they're going to be seen, and then you just got to going back and forth. And then I did a number memory. And I'm going to be, again, I'm going to be putting up the averages, and I'm going to be comparing them, and I'm also going to put up the percentiles as well in comparison to kind of show where I'm at. And I tried pretty hard on these, so hopefully I'm going to obviously try again really hard next week. And some of you, just kind of as a final thought, some of you may be thinking, oh, well, Gurm, why don't you, if you're doing like a testosterone supplement, why don't you actually do blood work to figure out like if your testosterone actually goes up or not? Because I don't have insurance. I don't have health insurance because I'm not trying to fucking fund all those greedy doctors' Corvettes and Ferraris and shit. But yeah, that's really it. So yeah, I'll see you guys in a week, basically. All right, welcome back. It's been 2 weeks. I know it was supposed to be a week, but I have been taking the pills. I'm going to be having them play behind me, kind of as I explained. So I was thinking about it, and so after I ran the mile and I did the squats and stuff, I was thinking about, like, you know what? If I start taking the pills now, as in like the day after, I'll actually get stronger because like my muscles are repairing and rehabbing and stuff like that. So I decided to wait until I wasn't sore anymore to start taking the pills. So that took like a number of days. And so then I recorded a week after me, or like a couple days after I started taking them for the full week. And then I did my mile, and I was pretty sore after my mile. So I just kept taking the pills, and I waited a couple more days until I did the squats and all that other stuff, which I think is actually what I did the first week, but I wasn't really considering it. So I did end up taking more than a week's worth of pills and stuff, but it's fine. It should be. I think we'll be okay. Just to kind of get some nerd shit out of the way, since I couldn't do anything, I basically just sat inside. I couldn't like. I didn't really allow myself to exercise to like for the sake of the experiment or really leave my house. So I was doing some research on what they actually put in the supplements of the stuff that I took. And so for the testosterone booster, it's basically just like a bunch of zinc. Well, it's mostly zinc. And zinc, again, the research that I was looking at, it does help with like creating testosterone and stuff. And so they also was putting like fenugreek in there and stuff. And these supplements kind of do help with hormone regulation and stuff like that. But the way the human body works is that it's not just because you have a lack of something, right? So like the logic is basically people who have really low zinc or fenugreek levels, they have really low testosterone, right? And so naturally the logic is, oh, well, if you have a bunch of zinc and fenugreek, then you'll have a bunch of testosterone. It's like, that's not really how it works per se, right? Just because if you don't have a lot of it, if you have a lot of it, doesn't mean you're going to get a lot of it, right? It's not really, it doesn't bounce back and forth like that. So zinc, there was a lot of zinc, which does help with it if you have like pathologically low levels or if you are just violently malnourished. And that there is, I know lots of people. I didn't research this as much just because it's such a complicated topic about like foods and the quality of food that you can get and the nutrition you get. A lot of people are like anti-GMO, which I personally think is like, bananas used to have seeds in them, man. Broccoli is like man-made. You guys know that, right? Like broccoli is not like a thing that occurs in nature. It's like something we made. Like I don't think people appreciate what GMOs are or aren't, but that's neither here nor there. And there's lots of people who talk about like fire cycles and like how ever since we swapped away from like fucking fire and smoke, we like don't get as much nutrition in the dirt anymore, and like corporate farming, which is an issue, but it's just, like it gets so cloudy so fast. I didn't want to consider the aspect. I think vitamins and multivitamins and stuff like that are important, and you should take them if you are deficient in stuff, but it'd be even better if you could eat them in food form. They also included this thing called tribulus extract, and I was looking into that, and basically, from what I saw, the benefits were like confusing at best. Like basically, one of the problems with science is that if it's not very specific, it's not very good, and if it's too broad, it's not very accurate, right? So basically, I was looking through studies, and there were very confident studies that said if you overdose on this stuff, it will result in like cardiac, liver, and kidney cell death and stuff like that. So that was kind of scary. And then so like they're like we're like, we know for a fact that like this is like toxic shit. So if you eat a bunch of it, you're gonna be fucked. But if you don't eat a bunch of it, it's kind of really tough to tell because there's a bunch of other bullshit in there that does a lot of stuff. So who's to say, right? The theme with a lot of these studies, they're legitimate studies and they give off the vibe that they're accurate, but they don't really do anything. And then you're kind of reading through this stuff and they have a bunch of information and they're saying a bunch of words and it's all just kind of a jumbled mess. And then you reach to the bottom. And most prolific journals or respectable journals actually require you to like show funding or display any conflicts of interest. And basically, for a lot of these supplements, basically the researchers will be like, yeah, we notice benefits to taking this supplement. And then it'll be like sponsored by the supplement company, right? The general theme is if they're sponsored by the company, they'll say that there's an increase, or they'll choose like the methodology that they use. They'll choose specifically like malnourished people or specifically like older people, so that when they give them supplementation, they like generally go up, right? And then if they're not, right, if they're not sponsored by the company, they'll choose like healthy young adults. They'll choose like people who like, or athletes or something, right? And they'll be like, we don't really see anything in there. And that's generally how it goes. There was another thing in the testosterone booster called like shilajit extract. Just doesn't do anything. It just doesn't like it. Like there are studies out there that are like, yeah, we showed all this stuff that was so useful and cool, and it's like, all right, well, if you look at this extract, it's just kind of like a plant that has a bunch of bullshit in it, right? That's just like a general like vitamin, and it's like, yeah, we gave it to all these like 45-year-old decrepit like men who are like bedridden and don't leave the house ever, and we noticed that like everything was going great, and it's like, well, no fucking shit, right? Boron citrate is in there. A lot of the stuff that I saw for boron citrate was more for bone density and stuff rather than straight up testosterone, which I guess is great too. Bone density is really important to maintain, but I wasn't really finding anything testosterone related for boron citrate. And then I actually noticed they have broccoli in the supplement. I don't know why they have broccoli in there. I found a rat study that was basically saying how sweet broccoli was for female rats, like rats with ovaries and stuff, and how that really helped like ovarian cycles and stuff like that. And there was some stuff about sperm, but again, not testosterone per se, more just general kind of sex organ function. And the theme kind of continues with the brain supplement, right? So I was taking a brain supplement. So the brain supplement actually markets itself as like it improves brain cognition and function and all that stuff, and it's also a complete vitamin. So a lot of the stuff in there a lot of the stuff that's in there is just vitamins, vitamin A, B, C, D, the kind of the list goes down. And so I was just kind of spending my time Googling stuff that I didn't recognize, right? Like niacin, biotin, stuff like that. Or at least stuff that I know it's stuff, but I don't necessarily know what the literature says. So I was pulling up the literature and I found this super in-depth, the study was a vitamin B study, right? Where they were basically looking at all these vitamin Bs and they were looking at how it helps with brain function. And it's just this super in-depth, super long study. They're like referencing all sorts of cycles and stuff. And you're like, wow, these guys really know what they're talking about. And you kind of get to the end of the study and they're like, vitamin Bs are awesome. You guys, vitamin B stands for brain. That's how awesome vitamin Bs are. And then you look at the conflict of interest, and of course they're sponsored by the fucking company, right? And you start looking a little closer, and they're like, they say pretty explicitly, they're like, we couldn't tell you what each individual vitamin does, but we know that if you put them all together and eat them, that's awesome. So buy our vitamins, basically. And it's like, this fucking shit is such a mess. But that's kind of a lot of the nerd shit out of the way. I could get into like the more of the nerd shit, but you get down a rabbit hole so fast. And I don't want this video to be like an hour long. So here are kind of the results. I weighed in a little heavier at 245. I had a couple cheat meals and stuff. I think a lot of that's water and stuff. I fluctuate weight a lot. I can go up and down like 10 pounds depending on the day and what I eat and how much salt and water I'm eating and drinking and stuff. Blood pressure looking quite a bit better. I'm starting to think I'm actually putting on the cuff too tight or something. I don't know. But I might not be doing that as correctly. Still pre-hypertensive, but, looking better. For the mile actually ended up being a little faster. I want to say maybe 10 seconds faster. I will say the first 2 laps, I felt incredible. I felt really good. I think the first lap was 140. The second lap was 140 again. I was like actually on an incredible pace. And then halfway through the third lap, I hit a wall so bad. So what? Like first lap is 140. Second lap is 320, I think. Right? Because if they're both 140. Third lap, I finished the third lap at like 6 minutes. Like I crashed so hard. And then by the fourth lap, I can only walk the fourth lap. I try to like jog a couple times, but it just doesn't work. And I think I end up finishing at like 9:30, right? But I did feel incredible for those first 2 laps. Felt really, really good. For the lifts, for the cleans, everything went the same. I did finish at 265. So last week I was only able to clean 245 and I couldn't jerk it. But this time I cleaned it and jerked 265. I went for 275. But I missed it. I failed it. I couldn't hit that. For squat, I did the same thing as last week. I warmed up high bar and then went low bar at 315, which is incredibly stupid. Hit 315 for 2 because I wanted to warm up low bar a little bit more. Then I jumped to 365, hit that for 1. And then I jumped up to 405 and I barely hit 405. I actually did hit 405. And then to bench, I did 205 for 2, and then I did 225 for 2 because 205 for 2 felt pretty good. 225 for 2 felt terrible. 240, and then I did 245 for 1, and then I did 255 for 1. And 255 was actually actually maximal effort. I remember I was like stuck there right here, and I was like, dude, I'm stuck, and I'm like, if I don't get this up, I'm gonna be embarrassed. So I was able to push through. That was kind of both of them. For the 255 bench and for the 405 squat, I actually did feel my body like lock in physically. For the human benchmark test, basically, so my reaction time was exactly the same. My sequence test was worse, significantly worse. My chimp test was better. My verbal test was worse. And my number test was the same. Don't know why. I didn't feel super particularly locked in for the mental stuff. But basically, mixed reviews, kind of. Since it's only a 2-week study, I'm like 99% sure that these supplements didn't do anything. I'm a pretty healthy guy. I mean, not the healthiest diet, but I'm not like deficient or malnourished or anything. I got blood work so I don't think these supplements are doing anything for me because they're mostly, again, supplementation is basically just supposed to make up for things that you're lacking. They're not just because they have benefits for you if you're lacking it doesn't mean that if you have an excess it's going to do something more for you, right? So that's kind of that aspect. And there is an aspect of a lot of the way strength works or kind of beginner gains is that it's actually neurological, right? So it's when you get stronger at a movement, it's not because you're necessarily gaining muscle or getting stronger. It's because you're actually learning how to do the movement better. I think if you look at me last week, I actually say like, hey, if I wanted it or if I like worked a little more, I could have gotten 265, right? I could have maybe gotten 405. I'm pretty confident that if I did this all over again without the supplementation, I would have done the exact same thing. I would have, it would have been the exact same outcome. I don't think that these supplements did anything. I will say I don't know if it's the fault of the supplement, but like during the mile, during the lifts and stuff like that, not so much the memory games, but during the actual physical challenges, I did feel significantly more confident in performing those lifts. I couldn't tell you if that was because I felt stronger or if it because I like woke up early or if it's something I did the previous day or anything like that. But basically don't waste your money on the stuff. Except for like the rhino pill. That one's fine. I think that one I hear good things about that, but I don't think I can do that video on YouTube. So yeah. Hope you guys have a thanks for watching.